Hello, Satnam. I'm your host, Zita Harkaran, and today I have a very special and exciting conversation with dear Harnam. He's a musician, yogi, and an artist. He recorded many meditation albums, and we talk about variety of topics stemming from what's happening in the world right now to state of Kundalini yoga 20 years ago and where it is now, where is it going, what happened with Yogi Bhajan. These are just our exploration of these topics. And we talk about his favorite practice. You are going to learn about Bound Lotus, very powerful, powerful practice, and many other mantras that you can use to release obstacles or to help yourself on the path of life. We also talk a little bit about what's going on in the world, and also what's happening in the world of technology and how does yoga and practice of meditation fit in. I mean, it's a lot. Without further ado, let's go into the episode and our conversation. Enjoy.
Yeah, so I am so appreciative to be talking to you, and I'm so appreciative that you have this podcast and that you're doing it because what I started to say there was so much of what existed in the before times is no longer. In
Right.
other words, the radio shows, the podcasts, the festivals, um, they are no more. They're just like everyone turned into ghosts and disappeared, and no explanation, nothing. Just like
Yeah. Yeah. And this is exactly why I was like, I have to, fill this space somehow and see where everybody is, in what headspace they are, like how are they
absolutely.
thinking about Kundalini yoga, where people are even practicing, and how are they practicing and what is the practice giving you? Because I do want to focus it mostly on practice, right? About
Okay.
like what has Kundalini yoga given you, what what has the practice giving you, but then we can also like expand it out into envisioning spirituality after 2023 and forward, right? Because I feel like it's like a fertile ground, and maybe this conversations can help plant seeds that
Well, I hope
where we
so
can
because
go.
this is the most fertile time I have ever seen in my entire life. Um, I mean, it's like somebody just took just turned over the table, right?
Yeah.
The whole table was set, and it just got, and it all went up in the air, and now we're starting to see where some of the pieces are landing, and out of this confusion and chaos, enormous opportunity exists.
Mhm.
Um, but to experience these opportunities, you have to be available to them. You can't be you can't be stuck in the past or lost in some kind of future or whatever it is. You really have to be um, you have to be open and available, and that's where the yoga comes in. Um, and
Right.
the yoga allows you to do that reset every day. You got your sadhana, you keep showing up. It's like steady Eddie, you know. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever all this is, um, you
Yeah.
know, I know I can come back to my breath. I know I can come back to my center. I know I can come back and chant. I know I need to stretch my body. I know I need to move the energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
And even in that way, it's almost like a gift, this realization of why are we practicing, right? It's like you're not practicing anymore because of some kind of an institution, or because you are a teacher, or because of yogi bhajan, or because of whoever, right? You're just practicing for yourself. At least that's how I feel like.
Yes, 100%. What you're saying is that yes, it's not about the institutions or because I'm a teacher, whatever. Like the world has done a complete 180. It's completely flipped over. Everyone's completely lost their minds on so many different levels in so many different ways. And it's up to each of us to decide, I'm not going down that. I'm not giving energy to that. I've got to consolidate, concentrate, focus, and connect to source through my practice. And it's always been that way, but now it's just so obvious that and so perilous too, because there's so many different ways we can get pulled and disrupted by the chaos, that if we don't have a solid practice, we can get swept away.
Yeah. Even I experienced it myself. Like there were time in past few years where I clearly saw myself going in a direction that was just not healthy. And I was fortunate that I was able to pull myself out and step up and start practicing and really show up even more for myself than ever before, which was like amazing. That's a true opportunity here.
Exactly. Yeah, there it is. It's like, I mean, we all signed up for this, right? Whether or not we want to, believe that or accept that, but we're here and it's now, and this is happening. So this is part of we're all having our individual experiences, but it's all part of this collective experience. And this is the nature and state of humanity right here, right now. This is what it is, and it's messy, and it's beautiful, and it's fertile ground for what comes next, right? and it's just to keep your eye on the prize thing. Like no matter what the day-to-day shizzle you're seeing or dealing with, the cray, right, is one. Know in your heart through your practice connected to source that everything's going to work itself out one way or another, right? And ultimately, the point of the practice is to die before you die, to understand that death is just the other side of the coin of life. There is no, that's the big illusion. This is all Maya. We're supposed to be having fun and learning and really believe that, as that sounds like new age, someone would, what do my trolls say online? They say, oh, it sounds like hippie drivel to me, Harnam. Okay, sure, fine. If it's hippie drivel to you, go for it, baby. That's you. That's you. If that's your trip, hey man, I'm not gonna get in the way of your trip. But
you mentioned amazing thing that I never heard before: to die before you die. And and I've been reading a lot about, because that's part of the podcast as well, to kind of for me to study these ancient texts. Like I've been reading Bhagavad Gita, I've been reading Tao Te Ching, and they all say this is the secret to immortality, to find the center within you. And it's kind of like to die before you die, to realize the death before you actually experience it.
Timeless, deathless, akal. The timeless part, consciousness is, so it's all God's play, right? There's givers and there's takers, but it's all God, right? And that is the gift of consciousness and awareness. When you have that awakening, when the energy moves and your light body is activated, you taste the timelessness, right? That's why people do drugs, right? They want to, you can do it that way. But if you, and you can have a taste, whether it's very popular now, ayahuasca, DMT, mushrooms, LSD, whatever, very popular. Psychedelics open you up to your eternal self. And that's where the barriers and the boundaries kind of disappear and you experience this kind of oneness. And I think that there is a good place for that, but that is also where and what the yoga practice will do for you. Deep pranayam, um, deep meditation will take you samadhi, shunya,
Samadhi.
samadhi. Like, these are states of consciousness that are in the Vedas. They're in the Bhagavad Gita. This is, documented, and this practice is still here with us uh, thousands of years later.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's a reason where people are still doing this, and we are blessed to have found it, and have it available now of all times, and to be practitioners now during this age of revelations and the apocalypse, the lifting of the veil. Oh, okay, whoa, it wasn't what I thought it was it?
Yeah. When we get to see all the puppet players and all the little wizards of Oz that are controlling things. So, okay, let's start from beginning, because we talk about being blessed on a journey to have a practice. How did you discover or how did you start on your spiritual path?
um that's good. I think just coming into the world was the
Yes.
as much as I was just really blessed to be born into Southern California, where I was able to be in nature a lot. And to
Mm.
me, that's even as a child, you're not thinking in terms of spirituality, but you're experiencing the awe and wonder and the power of, hiking in canyons, or, the ocean, and being able to, I grew up surfing, I grew up hiking, and just appreciating um, nature, which is the awesome gift. Like, I'm so grateful I wasn't born into an apartment in Manhattan or Brooklyn or something like that, four walls, because that really confines your experience. But I was Southern California, like, there's maybe a few days a year where it's too cold to go outside or too wet or whatever. The rest of the time, have at it, kid.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
for me, that, on an unconscious level, tuned me into nature and
Mhm.
spirituality through that. I mean, to me, like, fuck the church. Go sit by a waterfall. You want to
Yeah,
learn? Go
yeah,
sit by the ocean.
yeah.
Go hike the mountain and look out and watch the sunset. You want to experience the divine? It's all right there. And you want to, you
What
can.
about yoga?
Yoga happened. I mean, California, right? Like, I had a brother who was doing yoga, who had studied massage at Esalen. It was around, because it was California. But the deeper practice didn't happen actually until I had moved across the country. I left California pretty early on. I figured out it was a scam, and got out of there in the early '90s. No, it's really difficult as an artist to be, um, I you know I, just financially, it was like so crushingly burdensome, you know, unless you were doing a corporate gig. Um,
Mhm.
but if you were just a regular human who wanted to explore and be an artist, it wasn't really possible. It wasn't really viable. And so I went to New Orleans and I spent time there because I'm very passionate about music. And then I was in Arkansas. I had been dating a woman who was from Arkansas, and I wound up in Arkansas. Um, and I was kind of stuck in my life. And the guy I was working with, we were artists, we were doing murals and that kind of stuff. And he said, he was really not terribly mature, but he came to me one day. He said, "This friend of mine is teaching kundalini yoga, man. You know, let's go do some kundalini," right? Like, he was very mocking of it because he
Oh.
just didn't, you know. And I was like, okay, sure. But I actually had an experience. It was a very brave woman. She was a student of Ravi Singh's,
Mm.
um, and her name's Pam Nixon, actually. Shout out to Pam. And she was very brave. She was living in Little Rock, Arkansas at the time, and she was teaching Kundalini yoga in the heart of the bloody Bible Belt. She
Mm.
was teaching Kundalini yoga. It wasn't LA, it wasn't New York. It was Little Rock, Arkansas in late 90s, maybe 97, 98, something like that. And I was like, okay, there's something here. And
Mm.
so, and you know, back then I was the kid at the back of the class, and Sat Kriya came up, and I was like, oh, this is hard, you know. Oh, show me the modification, please. Um, yeah.
Wow,
So
wow,
anyway,
okay.
that was my first taste, and she brought a guy from Phoenix who's like a chiropractor from Phoenix who did Satnam Rasayan, who I had a session with. I had a Satnam Rasayan session with, and he gave me three things. He did the healing words, and this was the prescription. He gave me patience pays. He gave me Gobinde Mukunde, and he said learn Aikido.
Mm.
Because, you know, part of the teaching, learn a martial art, learn how to, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
manage yourself, defend yourself. And so I did those things, and soon within a few years I had shifted the energy in my life, and I transformed it, and I moved out of Arkansas and left, you know, what had been closed in on me just opened. But the practice was a big part of it. The Aikido was a big part of it.
Mhm.
Getting to get a taste of the mantra and expanding consciousness was shifted the energy, and my life changed. And I ended up from there moving to Connecticut. And
Mm.
I went to Connecticut for grad school. But when I got out of grad school, again, I was in one of those situations where I was like, oh, this is tough, right? Like and and a woman I was dating at the time said, "Oh, there's this yoga teacher. We got to go check her out. She's, you know, everyone talks really highly of her." And it was Ann Novak,
Okay.
who you may or may not be familiar with. And she was teaching in Connecticut, and she was great. And it was like now I was ready to like sink my teeth
Mm.
into it. And she was another student of Ravi Singh's, actually, kind of
Mm.
funny. Uh,
Yeah, well, yeah, I know her from YouTube. And actually, Ravi Singh was how I started my Kundalini journey with their
okay,
videos, Raviana videos. This is all
that's
I
right.
did.
That's
Even though I
right.
live in New York, I was just doing videos.
Well,
And
that's where
then,
Ravi taught, and they were living up in like Woodstock, or they were. I thought they were upstate, but I know he was really present teaching in New York, and he was part of the community in New York. For
yeah, yeah. But I think by the time I think he was out of here. So then my teacher was Hari Kaur,
okay,
like a
and
little.
she was my teacher as well.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
trained with her in Millis.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Wow.
after I studied with Anne for a while. Then I guess I started going to Solstice, um,
Mm-hmm.
and having the white tantric on the mountain experience and all that. And I thought, okay, well, now it's time. It was like fast forward 1997. I'm sorry, 2007, and it was like time to choose a teacher training. And
Mm-hmm.
the Millis option, I was like, Gurmukh in New York, Golden Bridge, or the Millis thing. New York was just hard to navigate just because it was so, it was expensive, and it was Millis was just a better option for me logistically
Mm-hmm.
at the time because, again, I'm an artist. I was working in Connecticut, and after grad school, I was working for the grad program. So I stayed in Connecticut. So Millis was good, and it was good, but it was Harikar. It was
Oh,
Harikar.
okay. Okay. So we have the same teacher. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really keep thinking about, this knowledge of Golden Link and truly how the teachings are passed from teacher, one teacher to another. And maybe there are some really great ones that carry it and then they pass it on to many others.
I mean, obviously, like it's a beautiful lineage. I believe that the golden chain, and I think it's all wisdom, all consciousness, all art, creativity. That's all divine, right? That's all divine energy, and God bless the teachers. God bless the creators, the consciousness, because it does. That is, as an artist, all artists, they say, steal from each other, but it belongs to everybody. There's no stealing, and they say, well, there's no original idea under the sun. Well, yes, but in an infinite universe, there has to be, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're expanding consciousness through being here, through humans being here, having human lives, internet, connecting with other humans. That
Yeah.
is the divine in action. That is the divine working through each of us to expand itself. Um,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
uh, and the yoga lineage, the Kundalini yoga, is just a beautiful part of that. It's a beautiful spoke in the wheel. Um,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
here we are.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I often think about it, and it's like, oh, nothing original has been done, but it's no. It is original because I am here. I am experiencing it right now. The times are way different, maybe, than they were 100 years ago, and or 1,000 years ago, and I am experiencing it. And it's worth to express. I'm not copying anyone. I'm just doing it because it is worth to express. So as an artist, yeah, you understand it.
I mean, and I think that's one of the most interesting parts of the Kundalini yoga experience is this. Um, it's the sort of paradox of the community, the culture of Kundalini yoga in the West, right? The American scene. Um,
Mhm.
there's this, Satnam, truth is my identity, right? And it's up to each of us to understand what is my Satnam, what is truth to me, because what's true to me is going to be different than what's true to you, or what's true there. Obviously, there's universal truth and universal laws in the way that we're all subject to gravity while we're here, right? That kind of thing, or karma or law of attraction or whatever you want to call it. These are just kind of like the way the universe works. But within that, we need to um, figure it out for ourselves. And that's a purely individual thing. And we can figure it out as a group and stuff. But, within the greater Kundalini community, there's always this sort of sense of need to conform, right? well, everybody wears white. And everybody, and we all do this, like, hey, we're supposed to do this and this and this. So it's very rule based for, so
Yes.
coming in from the outside as a creative, like part of me really bristled at the monolithic nature of the broader Kundalini culture.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah, well, let's discuss that because that's very interesting idea. And yes, me too. I bristle the whole time, not because of just wearing white or turban, but everything, even like every single practice, I had to find my own way of accepting it, or why am I doing it, because I would just not accept because someone said it. That was
right.
not my, I had to, you know, go through my own process. And yeah, so now as that pressure kind of eased out and that strictness eased out, right? What do we do now is, where do we, was it important? Wasn't it not important? What do you think?
Well, I think, ultimately, it only ever was as real or as valuable as we made it for ourselves, right? It's a very personal experience of what is your sadhana, what is your connect. I love the community. I just have to say, I love the community. There were things that I could take and things that I could leave, and but I was always able to find people and things within the broader community that I loved. In fact, my favorite thing was the culture around Satnam Festival. I really thought that was very special, and to me, I'm a little, um, you know, I really hope that comes back. Let me put it
Mm-hmm,
that way.
mm-hmm.
I hope that comes back because that community was really special, and it was really just kind of heartbreaking to see it go away like it did. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the 3HO thing was always just, heavy-handed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only way, and frankly, they I don't think they've handled themselves very well, um, given the circumstances. I think that there was really some poor choices made on their behalf, on their um, uh,
Yeah.
I just think they keep shooting themselves in the foot, and in particular, when they, came out and were mandating vaccination to attend their outdoor festival last year. I don't. Did you catch that?
No, no. So
I
they said it?
screenshotted it. Let me put it this way: I screenshotted it because it was so egregious. They and they literally they were like, okay, these are going to be the rules. Everyone
Mm,
needs to be vaxxed and boosted to go up on this giant mountain in New Mexico.
mm.
And
But
oh, the feedback they got. They put out some survey afterwards, and they pretty much immediately took down the survey, and they just said, you know what, never mind. We're just going to do this digital online. Um,
uh, oh,
you
so
know,
that's what happened. You see, I wasn't even following. So they did wanted to do it in person there.
yeah, but whatever faction within 3HO, which is putting this on, thought that was a good idea. Thought that telling um, people who are yogis, like if you're a real yogi, you really thought long and hard about the whole, you know, am I going to give over my immune system to pharma? Like, if no matter what the government's telling me, no matter what the news is telling me, if I'm a yogi, this is all I got, right? This is my jam, my consciousness, my awareness, my physical form, my vibrant, like I'm in tune with all
Yeah.
these aspects of everything that I
Yeah.
don't use fluoride in my toothpaste. I don't, I drink bottled water. I drink celery juice in the morning. Right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. And then
I
I'm
am,
going to inject something. Yes.
yeah. And then you're not going to tell me what the ingredients are? And I'm supposed to just go along with this because
Yeah.
like there was really and then you're just like, okay, whatever this is, I want no part of it, and you just kind of like, oh, okay, and I can't even express my opinion about it. Okay, but then for 3HO to jump on board and tell the community of Kundalini yogis that this is required to attend, that was so, they stepped in it bad, man. Like I
Mm-hmm.
mean, their legitimacy was
Mm-hmm.
to begin with, but they just especially after the whole Yogi Bhajan thing, like they were like already on edge, and then it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, and like I don't, I never I never met Yogi Bhajan in person. Whatever happened there happened a long time ago, and I understand that families and internal conversations definitely needed to happen, but that really, you can't talk about the future of Kundalini Yoga without talking about that. That was like the whole, okay, the torpedo hit the ship, but I guess it needed to happen because ultimately there was some there,
Yeah.
and people needed to talk about it and work it out amongst themselves. So people who were involved and connected and stuff. But I hated, on one level, I was like, yeah, okay, that's gonna happen. That's gotta happen. It had to happen. You gotta lance the boil, as it were, right? Because but they had already built their whole brand on as taught by Yogi Bhajan. Siri Singh Sab says, Siri Singh Sab says, Siri Singh Sab says was like,
Yeah. It was like a religion. Yeah. Exactly. It was
yeah, it's
a
super
little too
culty,
much.
and there was never, and again, that was like a trump card. They could just say, Siri Singh Sab said, Siri Singh Sab said, Siri, and everybody was parroting, Siri Singh Sab said, Siri Singh Sab said, Siri Singh, there's your sock puppet, Siri Singh Sab said, Siri Singh Sab said. And it was like, okay, all right.
Give him rest. Give Siri Singh's up
Let
rest.
Siri Singh Sab, you know. But that was their brand. They built the whole thing on that, and when it was revealed that he was human, shocked. There's gambling going on in this casino. An Indian yogi came over to America and slept with his students. Someone call CNN, because this has never, ever happened before in the history of humanity. Of course it has. Of course it had, and it did. And everybody knew on some level. Like, come on. Like, all the old timers didn't know. Everybody knew. They were around in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just a bunch of hippies. And he was
Yeah.
just doing his thing. And it was probably a lot more like Osho in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Then it
Yeah.
consolidated around the religion. And then
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know enough about the details, but to me, that's kind of how I see it, is that the religion kind of like whatever went down, there was stuff that went down, people were bought and paid off, and stories were suppressed and kept quiet. And then this sort of dogmatic thing kind of took over and crept in. Within that was still the teachings, the yoga, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think because I read a little bit of these accounts, and I feel like what the I think what Yogi Bhajan maybe made a little mistake, not mistake, but a wrong step, is that he claimed himself to be the leader of the Sikh Dharma, and in the West, right? And then because he said that, he had to kind of listen to the Sikhs in India, and um, he kind of got into their power a little bit, right? Because he wanted to be acknowledged on some level. So that way, that brought that strict structure and that strict, wearing white, wearing turban, wearing, behaving without any fault, and not having any.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
artificial, right? It was all very.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think if you would just leave it without that religious part, maybe it would be okay. But
But so I think there was money and politics involved because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. I think that the Sikhs wanted a foothold in the West. Yogi Bhajan was Sikh,
hmm
and I think this was business. I think that like having a religious um, uh,
umbrella.
tent,
Yeah.
umbrella, thank you, that was the word, allowed them probably tax exemptions, probably allowed them political cover because they were now religious, not some fringe Kundalini yoga cult. They
hmm
were officially a religion. And then there may have been, I've heard that there may have been money that flowed from the Sikhs to help him keep infidelities quiet, that kind of thing. So
Mm.
there may have been funding that became available through these arrangements that allowed them to just keep operating the way they wanted to and keep anything resembling scandals suppressed, that kind
hmm
of thing. Again, this is speculative on my
Yeah.
part, but from what I am aware of and seeing, that kind of makes a little bit of sense because the thing you're saying makes it doesn't make sense. Why would he do this where he's bringing in this and then there's it didn't. So there were really these two parts, and it was up to each of us as individual practitioners
Yeah.
to figure out what we really wanted. And you could really see that now. I, the people who were in it for the yoga, they're still practicing the yoga. The people who were just there to be part of the scene, they're the ones who are tripping balls and freaking out and having these meltdowns, etc. And
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
if
Yeah.
you,
This is someone who said that long ago, like maybe 2, 3 years ago. And she said, yeah, there's going to come a separation of those that are genuine and those that are not. And yeah, and I think, and you know what? And you don't need clothes, you don't need turbans to show that you're genuine, right?
well, exactly. If you're in it for the right reasons, if you're in it for the practice, then your light will shine through, and that's its own reward. Yeah, I don't need a title or an accolade or a position of whatever in you know
Yeah. Yeah.
again it's just but that's the lifting of the veil. That's like, okay, well, now we see where everybody stands on all this, and
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
you
We
know,
are totally so blessed to live in this time, even though it's so hard. But we are truly blessed. This is like amazing that we can even have this conversation, right?
yeah, 100%. Very,
Yeah.
very, very cool. So when you ask about where it's going, I think the back to Ravi, I think his evolving Kundalini group online. I haven't spent a lot of time in there. Like I'm a full time job. My life is a full time job. I don't have time to see really what other people are doing so much. But from what I have seen, that evolving Kundalini group that he's got, does represent probably the strongest direction forward that I'm seeing in the Kundalini world.
Oh, where is that group? Is it on Facebook, you mean?
Yeah. Evolving
Oh,
Kundalini.
Evolving
Definitely.
Kundalini. Oh,
Yeah, you definitely want to check that out. And I want to say something else. I want to be fair
yeah.
here. 3HO wasn't the only yoga organization to step in it as far as I was concerned with the vax. I think what you call it. God, what's the other credential? Oh, God, it just had their. Oh, they were a little off with it too. There were other organizations that, I mean, a lot of people just were scared and they just didn't know what, and really the whole time and energy of cancel culture was very pervasive. So maybe even if they didn't fully agree, they were just afraid of not towing the line. Um, and there's politics involved, like New Mexico politics. For three, it's like they're people know who they are there, right? They're like, so you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's that sensation and that need of, oh, we have to do that.
So, but
Was
like,
it Yoga Alliance? I think Yoga
oh, okay.
Alliance took a similar stand on some level that seemed off to me. Um,
Mm.
but the Evolving Kundalini group was like very specifically um, not, do what you want. Like they were like, you want to do it, do it. You don't want to do it, don't do it. But like, and that's always been my, like, I don't care. You want to go do what you do, but don't come telling me what I got to do. Like, that's not how this works, right?
Mhm.
Or you can tell me what I got to do, but I'm just going to laugh at you and I'm going to make another plan, like that's overreach, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so what do you think? Where is it going? Like, what? Let's be a little bit more specific. Like,
So I'm going to take it to the song because that's how I relate and understand that. When I wrote "Time Is Now," that like time is now. Now's the time. Time is now. Now's the time. Love is yours. Love is mine. Face your fears, no more games. In the end, no love remains. We are one. We are the children of the sun. Or we are the ones we've been waiting for, right? Like, these are all lyrics in the song. We are the ones we've been waiting for all this time. Because they were things that resonated with me and that rang true. And it's like, yeah, we're the ones we've been waiting for. Like, I'm not waiting on anybody else to do anything. I'm here now. This is, but like the community is in disarray, right? Okay, so I haven't seen or heard anything from Satnam Festival. Nothing, zero, nothing. Right? It's
yeah.
surprising,
Wow.
but it hasn't been happening. There's rumblings in New Mexico that some event's going to happen. I saw like White Tantric
Mhm.
buzzing about, but like again, they were doing this thing in Phoenix like a year ago where they were like, you got to wear a mask. Like, I'm not doing White Tantric in a mask. And I'm not supporting anyone that says we got to do it in a mask. We, the
Yeah.
studies, the science, like the masks don't do anything. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, if you're wearing a freaking cloth mask and you think that it's affording you some kind of, it isn't, right? If you want to do it, go for it. I'm just not going to be involved in that.
Yeah.
It's just, like we vote with our attention, with our consciousness, with our energy. So
Yeah.
what am I giving energy to? Right now, I'm just kind of consolidating and giving energy to what I can control, which is my music. I'm an independent artist. This is my I'm my own label, right? I don't have a PR team working for me, like it's just me. And the music business is kind of in that kind of breakdown place too, where like, once upon a time there were all this, and now there's not so much, right? We don't
Yeah.
sell CDs
Yeah.
anymore. We
Yeah.
stream on Spotify and we get like 0.0025 cents per stream or something crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so, but
So
for me,
yeah.
I'm just focused on that, and I know that my eyes are open, and I'm watching. I was involved in something called um, Sangha Fest, which is happening. I see Bhakti Fest is coming back. And
Mm.
I see people are doing things like some retreats and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So the world's opening back up. The United States, I can say this, still requires a vaccination to come into the country,
Oh wow.
which is insane in the membrane. It's like even Canada gave that up, but the United States is still requiring a vaccine to come in, um,
Mm.
which is insane. But no, like I'm just like I don't know what's coming next, but I'm just sort of taking care of business and getting prepared because I was flat-footed when everything went down. I mean, yes and no, flat-footed, very mobile, but it did not cross my mind that I would ever see what we ended up seeing. Um, the last
Yeah. Yeah.
like that really wasn't in my peripheral. It wasn't even in my peripheral vision. Like
It was no one, I think, expected that. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to reach out to you because you have this amazing song out and it's a lot of fun.
thank you.
Yeah, and I love listening to it. It's very upbeat and the time is now. Yes, you can just chant along and wake up and be present, always be present.
Now, now,
There's no
now.
other, yeah, because, and I like how you said that just keeping our eyes open and not pushing or pulling in any direction. Let's see where it all going to take us and where the energy wants to go. Uh, but yeah, I think even having conversations like that, it's very fruitful, hopefully. And
Well, again, that to me, like the loss of the ability to come together and talk with each other
yeah,
was it was really the worst part of it. When you tell humans are social animals. We're supposed to gather. And the Kundalini community was so great because not only did we come together and gather, but we come together around our love for a practice that feeds us and that helps us grow in consciousness on our spirit, our individual spiritual paths, and we all come together. When we come together and we practice together, it's that much more powerful. We go that much deeper, and frankly, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I've got my own practice, but I want to practice with, 500 people in a tent, right? Like, I know the power of that. I want to chant with 2,000 people on a mountain. I want to do that. And
yes,
and that's
yes,
where
yes.
that's the mojo,
And
that's the
yeah,
juice.
Yeah, because otherwise you feel, I mean, yeah, I also feel the power when I'm practicing, but then when you actually get to meet with someone and talk about it, or even maybe not talk about it, but see them with you, that they're also going through the similar experience than you, it makes you feel more, I would say, like verified in your consciousness, or what, I don't know the other word, kind of like grounded more maybe in your ideas, you know. But so yeah, let's talk about the practice. What's keeping you afloat these days?
I've been working with Bound Lotus for forever, for a very long time, and that's kind of just keeping me going. That I do our meditation with the inner.
Okay, so can you please explain Bound Lotus a little bit for those who don't know?
Okay,
What is it good
so
for? How does it look? Because, okay, uh, lots of people think that yoga is for just wellness and relaxation and feeling good, but Bound Lotus is one of the most intense kriyas we have. I talked to Satkirin also like a month ago, and she practices Sahib Parnam Kriya, which is one of the most intense kriyas you can imagine. We Kundalini yogi, we just go for it, you
which
know.
one? Tell me about that one. I saw.
Ah, yeah. So that one is like you are in a triangle pose and doing push-ups in a triangle pose or
Okay,
downward
all
dog for
right.
15 minutes to jap Sahib.
All right. God bless her. Well, if that don't keep you young, nothing will, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yes. And then you do like a tree pose for another 15 minutes. So, yeah.
Again, it is really, when you say it's for yoga, it's for wellness, it is. It's how each of us individually connects to source. And whether you're just sitting there doing a spinal flex and breathing, whether you're just sitting and breathing and not moving at all, or you're doing some, complicated mantra or some intense physical practice, it doesn't matter. It's just like whatever connects you with you on that given day and that given moment and keeps you um, connected to your light so that you don't go running off into a ditch somewhere. Um,
Hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, Bound Lotus. Tell us a little bit more
yeah,
about it.
so basically, it's lotus pose where you've got your legs up on your hips here. Let me see. I can show you some lotus here. I'm just gonna whoop, right.
Hmm.
So lotus
Yeah.
would look like that, and that's just a challenging thing for most people in and of itself because um, let's be real, most people have been sitting in chairs for way too long, and that messes up your hips. That's why we have this sort of epidemic. Everybody and their grandma has gotten a hip replacement,
Hmm.
in the West. Like a lot you hear about, like during the pan, whatever the hell happened. During the last few years, I've heard of, I'm going to count this out, one, two, three, four people I know off the top of my head right here, right now, had a hip replacement.
Mm. Yeah.
That's not even including my mom. Make it five.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
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 So, but again, if you're sitting in, like, from Victorian era, sitting in a chair, that's really hard on your body. That is not how humans were made. Um, and so, anyway, so you get yourself into lotus, which means you have to have fairly open hips, which means you have to have a yoga practice. And like in the beginning, this was very difficult for me, like opening up the hips, like that time in early 2000 when I got out of graduate school in Connecticut. I really started working. And that was the beautiful thing about Anne, and what made her such a great teacher was she was a physical therapist, right?
Mm.
Like her, by training. And so she really understood and
Mm.
was able to be very helpful in terms of using the yoga to open the body. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so you get your hips open, but then you literally take, one arm and you wrap it and you like do this thing. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're
Yeah.
going to take the other arm and wrap it. And I'm not going to do it here now because it's a little more complicated than that. But literally, you got these hands there. Let's see, can I get this? In a cramped space, but you see, you
Yeah. Yeah.
my fingers over
To
there. So
reach.
you grab the toes, and then so then now you're bound up, right? Now you're wrapped in the shape of a pretzel, or in the shape of infinity, if it were, because when you look at the shape of, right, that's like the
Mhm.
figure eight, and then you do a figure eight with your arms behind your back, grabbing those toes, and then the best part is you then from lotus bound up like that, you bow your head, and then somehow you manage to relax into
Mm-hmm.
that space,
Yeah. I
and
practiced that for a few, probably I did 40 days. I wasn't able to get into the position fully, but oh my goodness, the how much subconscious garbage you clear from with this being bound up like that. Wow.
well, it's just, I think it's just the act of opening to bow. Um, I mean, the act of bowing is like, so this symbology, this is what I love about it, right? Is that not only are you wrapping yourself in the shape of infinity, so you're reminding yourself on a cellular, physiological level, I am infinite. Again, I'm capable of like, I'm wrapping myself in this shape of double infinity with my arms
Mhm.
and my legs. And then I am placing my head below my heart. So now we're elevating the heart above the head. And therein is like the huge wisdom because the world, the culture, the society values thinking. Everything's about thought and ideas. And it's not about feeling. And it's in our heart, right? It's our heart, how we truly feel and express our feelings. And that is the great wisdom is in the heart. And this is, I'm going to share this. You know, it's not about what we do as humans that makes us worthy or how much we do. This is what we think. The more we do, the more worthy we are, and that's absolutely wrong. But that is the Protestant work ethic. Be a hard worker. The more you do, the more worthy you are, and that's not it at all. What it is the better you feel, the better something feels to you, the more you allow, the more you are resonant with the divine, right? Because that's why we have these emotional guidance system. Our emotions are the guidance system. So often the culture, our families or whatever tell us, oh, you got to put away the way you feel, stuck away that emotion, and now go do what you're supposed to do, right?
Mhm.
Because this is how we're taught and raised up. I don't care if you hate that job, you need to make money. So go do this thing you hate every day to make your money. And being miserable is good. Your grandmother was miserable, your mother was miserable. Now you get to be miserable too.
No, but that's how people think. How dare are you happy? I have to work so hard and you are just happy? What
How
do you
dare you?
mean?
How dare you be so happy? I'm miserable. You should be miserable too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a really bold stance to take in terms of evolving consciousness. Like, no, I'm not gonna do the thing that makes me feel bad. because you tell me I'm supposed to. Like, no, no. I understand. Yes, I need to make money. Sure, to be in this world. Yes, um, but how I make it and how much I make is really going to be up to me and what feels right to me. And if you disagree, you disagree. That's fine. But you're not the boss of me. I'm the boss of me, and I'm going to make choices that are resonant with um, my spirit.
Yeah.
Because that is my right as a sovereign human being, um, to guide myself. As I move through the universe, and you can agree or disagree. That's all good, right? That's how this works. So making choices that feel good, like really important, and the practice for me helps me get into a neutral space where I can just, right, the shizzle, the mental games. It's just like peeling back the layers of the onion until there's nothing there at all. And from that place of nothing is supreme state of allowing. Right? That's what the meditation's for, where you can get past the could, the should, and the would, and just be. Right? We're not humans doing, we're humans just being, allowing, because when we get into that state of allowing, so this is law of attraction stuff, but we've already made clear to the universe what we want. The universe responds in kind, but we have to feel it as if it is in order for it to be, right? So we have to.
Yeah, it's like your external world mirrors your internal world.
That's right. So it's a vibration. The greatest part of us is non-physical. Our consciousness, that what is Harnam? Well, is Harnam this physical form? No. Harnam is, all my thoughts, my feelings, my experiences throughout many, 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 many lifetimes. And that's the extent of my consciousness. And we're here now in these physical forms experiencing space, time to expand consciousness. Each of us is expanding consciousness through our experience. And when I say the chaos is great, like this is an amazing time to be alive because it's so fertile, it's so rich, but it's the contrast, right? Like people don't understand that, they're like getting all mad at Tucker Carlson or Rachel Maddow or whoever, whatever. They're just different sides of the same coin, right? Like it's yin and yang, light and dark, loud and soft, wet and hot, like what, fire and water, earth and air. Like contrast is everywhere. That's the nature of space time, is duality. And it's when we when we turn the corner in our own mind where we realize, oh, the reason I feel so bad right now is because I was so joyous before. And like the absence, like there's the joy and sorrow, love and hate, love and fear, right? Like fear just constricts us. So ultimately, when we have this experience and we realize, oh, it's beyond all that, and I can just come to this place of allowing, where I allow the world to reflect back to me and I project out to it. And it's this dance in the consciousness and the awareness and the allowing and the unfolding and just the enjoyment of like, whoa, okay, this is real.
Yes, exactly. And it's truly a gift what happened, because it allowed us this freedom. All of a sudden we saw, okay, we don't have to be so restricted by everything, because it's so easy, for schools to close, for even summer solstice to finish, for all of that, everything can be taken down. So let's just have the freedom and let's explore what is possible. And it's yeah, this is what I see as like, wow, I know we had censorship before, but now it's like I can just do whatever I want. And I
100%.
can even choose life I want, I don't have to participate in this system.
Exactly. No, it's a very fertile moment where we really have the opportunity to try new things and reinvent ourselves in this time. And like, who am I to say what works for you, or what works for me, what works for you? You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
like, who am
Yeah.
I to say? Like, what's next? Okay, well, let's see. Like, everything's gonna. There's more shoes to drop. I promise you. We're gonna find
Yes.
out more things. Whether
Yes.
whether it's from the government or within the yoga community, or
Yeah.
wherever it is within our personal lives. Like, who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? Right? Like,
Yeah.
stuff is just,
Yeah.
and it's like coming from random places. Like, all of a
Mhm.
sudden I'm finding out things I had no idea this was going. Oh, okay, this is what
Mhm.
happened. All right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you said, with the heart, with Bound Lotus, putting the heart first, it's like as long as my heart is beating strong, as long as my vibration is strong, I'll, whatever comes, I'll handle it however it comes, I guess, right?
Uh, there are no guarantees. Like, they're never. That's just another illusion that somehow, some way, anyone knows what's going to happen next, or how it's going to go down, or but when we're in a fearful state, we close down possibilities and opportunities because we're not letting the energy flow,
Mm.
right? When we're afraid. But when we are open and allowing, then all things are possible. So
Mm.
it's either all a miracle or none of it is. And if
Mhm.
you're in the none of it is camp, then that's a fear-based thing, because you're just afraid of things that you don't understand and you can't control, right? But if you're in it's all a miracle, let it go. Whatever it is, it's a blessing, right? It's all a miracle. It's all divine. It's all infinity in action, creativity and consciousness. And
Yeah.
that's just the gift.
I wanted to finish up about the Bound Lotus. Do you listen to something when you do that, or you just breathe?
So, yeah, that's evolved over time into, like, in the beginning, um, it was Mahan Kiran wrote the book, uh, Bound Lotus. She wrote a book on Bound Lotus, and she recommended the Raymond Shabad. And there was a beautiful recitation recording by
Mm-hmm.
Sanatana Kaur. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
heard it, but it
Yes,
was
yes,
just a
yes.
straight up recitation. I don't think it's available online. I don't think it's streaming. I think it was like unique to the book.
Mm.
I don't think you can find it. Like, she has a song version of it that was on Grace back in,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
specific recitation version that I enjoyed and learned the Shabad from that, and I listened to that, in,
Mm-hmm.
while I was in it, and then but that was her recommendation. Um, and I've explored and experimented with other things that now. Um, I listen to, really whatever I'm just resonant with at the moment. Like, I've been listening to So Perk, Narinjan. I like that recitation from
Mm-hmm.
her. And then sometimes I listen to my own track. I have the Heal Me. Um, it's very ambient, layered track. Part of the one of my recent singles that I released. I'll listen to that. But it just sort of depends on what kind of environment, how much additional noise or how minimal I want to be. But it could be, if I was out in nature, maybe I wouldn't listen to anything. If I'm in a place where maybe there's some traffic or something, or a house where there's a TV or something in the other room or whatever, then maybe I want more sonic.
Yeah, and that also brings me, you have recorded a lot of music and mantra. I wonder if you have a specific meditation for one of your tracks that you would like to recommend. We try as
Um,
meditation.
oh God. So, a couple of the albums I did were specific meditation albums, and they have 3 tracks each. So there was the Awakening Your Creative Fire CD, and there are 3 tracks on there with specific meditations included. Like there was a booklet, and then
Mm-hmm.
there was also the Removing Obstacle CD.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which had the same thing, 3 tracks and 3 meditations. One of the, I like recently somebody, just gave me a shout out and thanked me for the Odd Such meditation
Mm.
on the removing obstacles. Um,
Oh,
Odd Such, to God Such, Hebe Such,
mm.
Nanagosi, Be Such.
This mantra is coming up a lot lately. Yeah, it's good. It's been working for people. Yeah.
I like that, and I think this was I mean, I've had people tell me it worked when they were stuck in traffic, and I've used it that way. But that's like God, what was the saying about it? Is this mantra's a lever? If something's stuck and it absolutely won't move, this is the one to get it unstuck. This
Mm-hmm.
is the mantra
Mm-hmm.
to get it unstuck, and
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Okay, okay, I'll look into that.
I
Okay.
mean, that one. The I really love the new recording of Wayanti. I don't know if you've heard that.
Mm,
It's a I think we did really beautiful work on that
mm,
track. It's got I don't know if you know who Steve Gorn is.
mm,
He's a Bansari flute master. So he did
mm,
some really beautiful work on that. He worked with Paul Simon back in the day. There was an album I knew he had played on with Paul Simon, maybe
mm-hmm,
15, 20 years ago or whatever it was now. And I was just really lucky to get him on
mm-hmm,
that track. So
mm-hmm,
I really enjoy that. Just it's a nice Wayanti.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay, yeah, I'll
um,
look into it.
yeah, I'm thinking about all the things. There's so much that God, I don't even know how to say this. That like for everything that's recorded, it's almost like there's 10 times as much that's waiting to be recorded.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And for
Yeah, well,
various,
share with us. Maybe that's gonna, inspire you to get it done quicker.
well,
What is waiting?
oh God, there's so much. Like I personally, um, well, how to say, like the last few years is just, um, was really good for the creativity side of things, but not really good for the commerce side of things. It's like all my gigs got canceled, right?
Mm,
Like festivals went away, the
mm,
yoga studios closed like on a mass scale. Um, so it was like, okay, well, I guess we're not doing that this week. Let's
yeah.
let's go record a demo.
Mhm,
So there's like this backlog of music, but now that we've released "The Time Is Now," there's going to be um, successive things that follow. This track literally could have been released back in like initially I was thinking this was going to come out in like 2019, and it didn't. And there was like canary in the coal mine um, of the trouble that was going to come. Like there, suddenly this project got derailed,
Mm,
and I
mm,
didn't really understand what or why. I'm like, what has happened? Like, but suddenly the project started to go off the rails. You know,
mm.
partnering with people, and it went sideways.
Yeah.
And then it literally, like, I had to go through this whole meandering journey to get it back in here. And then 2020 happened, and then it was like, okay, now we're just in Never Never Land, right? Like it's taken like from 2020 back to 2023. Now it's like, okay, now we're getting a clearer picture of things, and things are starting to come back. So time is
Mm.
now. Released it,
Okay.
which is, and wait for it, there's going to be a lyric video, and then there's going to be, which will be fun. It features a lot of really cool drone footage we took in Mexico. And then there's going to be the official video. So
Okay. Okay.
the
And
official video is great. I partnered with a friend of mine, a filmmaker in Mexico, and again, this was all filmed back in 2019. Um,
wow. Oh,
so,
wow.
but then the things went sideways, and then the world
Yeah.
went side. It was like that was the kind of, I look back now and I'm like, why did this project go off the rails? And I'm like, oh, it was a symptom and a sign of this unraveling
Mm-hmm.
that was to follow,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was 2019, everything was hunky dory, it was normal, but then something came undone
Mm-hmm.
with the project, right? It just, it's like, this is weird. What's going on? Let me try to. And the more I tried to, I couldn't influence it. I didn't.
Wow. It was as if like it was waiting for its right time. Yeah. Maybe the
I can't
time is
even.
now. Maybe the time wasn't back then, but the time is now.
Clearly, it was beyond my control. It came through clear
Okay.
as a bell um, at the end of 2018. I was house sitting for my brother up in Seattle, and the song came through. It was there,
Mm.
and I wasn't planning on recording it, but it was so present that when I went to work with the producer, I was like, "Look, check this out," and he was like, "Yeah, let's record this." And so
Mhm.
then it was there, but then things went sideways. Um, and it wasn't like I had to go through this incredible meandering route to
Mm.
get back to here to be able to release it.
Wow,
And
wow, wow.
yeah,
Okay, okay. We're excited that it's here. Looking forward to the video. Let's see. So, are you teaching anywhere now, or?
at the moment, I've just needed to focus on releasing the music because, like I said, I'm an independent artist, and it's a full-time job to be your own record label and to advocate
Mm.
for yourself. And there's an enormous number of things that happen behind the scene. You think, oh yeah, this record just came out, but like I'm telling you now, I wrote the thing
4
at the end of
years.
2018. We recorded it in the beginning of 2019, and what is it, 2023?
Wow.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Yeah.
stuff that goes on behind the scenes is a lot more than you think.
And
I
there are more songs that you will add?
yeah, after this, there's gonna be a duet with my partner Devi Starlight, and we're going to release a live duet, in studio live duet, of
Mm.
Love Is Love. I don't know if you're familiar. You should spin that one too.
Mm.
That's
Okay.
That's a good one. Love is love. But we're going to release a live duet version of
Mm,
that. Again,
beautiful.
inspiration from the teachings of Kundalini Yoga. Love is love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously it's got greater context in terms of the culture and the society. But from a yogic point of view, love is complete unto itself, right? It doesn't need to be anything; it just is, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's for me. That was a potent place to write a song,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not. God, how to say that? It might be a 5 minute song, but it might take 5 years
Yeah.
from the feeling, the inspiration, the seed of it to grow musically, melodically, lyrically
Mm-hmm.
into something that you actually record, produce, and release. Do you understand what I'm saying there? Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
seed is just a thought, it's just an emotion. And there's another meditation for you. It's on the creativity, the Awakening Your Creative Fire CD. Hud Hare Hari Wahe Guru. That
Okay.
one, again, that goes right to what I just said. The seed, it grows, it develops, and then it blossoms and it's released. And for every one and everything, it can be it can be very short, or it can take a long time. And the deeper you go, the more layers there are to the creation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yeah.
beauty of the creation. Like when you think about Japji and Guru Nanak, worlds upon worlds, layers upon layers, that's what he's waxing poetic about for 20 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, one creator, one creation. Let me tell you about it. And that's
Yes,
like,
yes, yes.
right, 20, how many pories later? Like 30 pories later, that,
40, yeah.
he
And
still,
then
he
another
still
like
got more to
2,000
say.
pages of Siri Guru Granth.
That's right.
That is just
Everybody's
expansion.
weighing in on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like media today, right? Like, one thing happens, and then everybody's got to like put their take on the thing. So like there's like one event, and then so and so says something, and so says something, and then so and so says something about what so and so said, and so and so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what? I think it's still interesting, right? Like even though sometimes I heard this topic talk about a million times, but I want to know how this person is talking about it, you know?
100%, like 100%, layers upon layers, worlds upon worlds.
Yeah.
And this ties back into something that's really important. We need to be, the reason we need to be connected to Source is because we need to be conscious of how we are running our energy in the world. What we are giving our energy to is what we are co creating. And this is huge, like for anybody anywhere. I don't care how advanced you are, you can do all the poses and whatever, stand upside down, headstand, one hand, whatever. But if you're not conscious about where and how you're running your energy and what you're
Giving.
co-creating, what your um, consciousness is creating, because we're all creating every day, every moment. We are creating our experience over and over. And if we're giving our energy to something that is not serving our highest and best, then we're not, you know,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
and if we're giving a lot of energy to that, the more energy we give, the more momentum we create. And it can be, that's a huge pitfall. And I look at the community at large, and I would just say, as you know, as big as all the Yogi Bhajan revelations were, I don't think people are conscious and aware of how much energy they've given to the shit show that it's become. What I'm saying is it's like you're missing okay, this happened, but all the Sturm and Durham and the
Yeah.
I don't know, the big, it's just messy, and
Yeah,
I get it.
like spending too much time in the negative emotions. That's
That's
what you
right.
mean, kind of.
There's this
There's
sensation.
like,
I got it in the beginning too. Like straight away, I was like, "Oh God, I don't want to read the accounts. I'm sorry. I like it happened. I wasn't there. This is one person's experience. This was another person's experience. Like I get that it's important that they tell their story and that the community hears it and the community, but there's a sensation of wallowing.
yeah, following, and then they think that by talking about it, it's gonna be somehow restituted, or themselves,
That's right.
someone's gonna be restituted. But it's like, no, nothing like that is going to
No, you're just
happen.
giving energy to something that's not serving where you're going. It's keeping you where
Yeah,
you've been, and not even where you've been, but where you were 20 years ago, right? Because all the allegations are like 30, 40 years old or more at
yeah,
this point.
yeah.
So, so I just look at that and I'm like, hey guys, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
You're like looking backwards, and the train is about to go off the cliff, and there's this whole like, this whole like, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
totalitarian regime thing that's happening here, and
yeah. And you're being distracted. Hello, why are you being distracted?
whoa, hello. But then there was also like, people, that's that's an energy space that people want to go. Like, I can't stop you like that. If you want to give that train momentum, that's on you. But
Yeah,
you're asking me where Kundalini yoga is going. It's not there. Right? That's where it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. And
yeah,
that, like, if you feel that you've got to wallow through all that and work it out that way, but no,
yeah,
not for me, not for
yeah,
what I see. Like, I see, I see us, yoga is yoga, life is life, consciousness is expanding, and it, like, let's, we've burst, the bubbles burst, right? Like, you want to keep the thing going, and you want to, okay, fine, but that's not where that's not the cutting edge. That's not the
yeah,
cutting edge of consciousness and expansion and the practice. The yoga is a living, breathing thing. That's what always felt so awkward about the Siri Singh Sab said. Well, Siri Singh Sab didn't say, therefore it isn't so. Well, not necessarily. If he were alive today, maybe he'd be saying exactly what I'm saying,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
But if you're,
yeah. Yeah, and it takes power away from us as the practitioner, which is the worst thing. Because no one should take the power from you, from your own experience, and then take the ability to make decision about your life. It should be yours, not Siri Singh Saab, who is dead for more than 20 years now, or no, 20 years. So yeah, so that's why I feel very strong in practicing and still teaching. And people have experience. Everybody who comes has an experience, so there is something to it. It's not made up, as people
oh,
are saying, because
oh.
that's one of the accusations, right?
Right. Well, people say, well, that's just where we are. But the point, the important point is no one can take away your experience. No one has the power unless you give it to them. Right. The whole point of the practice is self-empowerment, right? Self-awareness. It's the yoga of awareness. So no one can take that power from you unless you give it to them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's where your emotions come in. If you feel someone trying to, kalsa-splain or mansplain or dictate to you whatever you're supposed to do, think, or feel, then you're like, yeah, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
change your tune if you want to come around here, but thank you, no. Right? Like
Yeah.
that's how you know. Like, how
Yeah.
does it feel? Is there resonance? Like, I think there was a real that when the organizations always had that heavy-handed feel to them where they were like that phrase kalsa-splain, right?
Yeah.
That energy, like that's just like no,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and it
So
was
it's over, and that's a good thing.
that's right. That's absolutely. It was long overdue. It was over for a long time. It just finally the boil got lanced, and now it's like okay, everyone sees what's what.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, and the gift is that we still have the teachings and we still have the meditations, and we can practice them and we can, experience them. And people are ready, like they really want to learn because the computer age, and that's we didn't touch on, like the computer age that we live in, the AI and all of that. That's also trying to put us in some kind of box that we can't. Anyway, I don't know if you want to, but
yeah,
let's see.
sure. I'll talk about that.
Oh
I,
yeah, all right.
I,
Share.
I mean, the the practice puts us in touch with the essence of what it is to be human. It puts us in touch with our humanity. Our divine inheritance is our consciousness, our awareness, our connection to source, and nothing can come between you and you unless you let it, right? Unless you give away your power and you say, oh, well, they tell me it's got to be this way. Oh, gosh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I if you want to go down that road's available to you. But I promise you, you're not going to feel fulfilled or satisfied or ultimately happy giving away your power. You never will. That never works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The practice will. The problem with people in the practice is something you actually have to do. You
Mm-hmm.
actually have to step into your power and claim it and get up and do it, even if you don't feel like it. And we talk about creating consciously. You either create consciously through your consciousness and your experience and your thoughts, or you create by default, which is unconsciously. You're just going through the motions, and well, they told me I'm supposed to. Right? Again,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
default is giving away your power. Who knows what's going to happen? You're creating by default. So
Yeah.
that creates the room and the space for someone to come in and create for you because you're giving away your power. But when you're
Yeah.
in your power, in your consciousness, in your practice, connected to source, you're like invincible, right? You've got the power, you've got the control, you've got the choice. You can choose based on how it feels. Does this feel right? Am I in resonance with this? Or does it feel like I don't want to go down that road? I don't want to be part of that energy. And
Yeah. Yeah, because that's exactly when the idea of maybe victimhood also comes from, is that you didn't know it was happening, right? Or somehow someone caught you unaware and you were victim of someone. But it's if you were present, if you were making decisions with your conscious mind, you would not get there. You would take responsibility for your actions, no matter what, right? And then people say, and then people are like, oh, well, we didn't know this is what's going to happen. We didn't know. You could have if you were just present.
I was just following orders, Zita.
Yes.
I was just following orders.
The worst sentence ever said, right?
They told me that unvaccinated people were subhuman, and therefore I felt it was okay to call them names and discriminate against them and not have them in my business. I was just following orders. The governor told me that it was okay. Stephen Colbert told me that they're not humans. They're not worthy of respect or dignity. They don't deserve to have health care because they didn't do what we told them to do.
Yeah, but then is Stephen Colbert going to come and apologize? No, he's not, or he's not going to take responsibility for anything. And the same thing is with the religious leaders. Same thing is with doctors, right? At the end of the day, we are all responsible for our bodies. No one else.
You got it.
No one's going to go through this pain.
Well, it's our experience. If I get nerve damage or, wound up with a swollen heart or whatever, because I took some random injection that no one's telling me what's in, that's on me. Like, I chose to allow that if I did. And frankly, I know doctors. I've been around I have a brother who's a doctor. You know what? He's human. Before he's a doctor, he's human. When I was growing up, they make mistakes. Humans make mistakes, and humans need to be responsible for, themselves and each other. And I've had doctors who couldn't figure things out that other people could, $10,000 worth of medical procedures. They couldn't figure it out, but somebody else could. They figured it out,
Yeah. But also, we can also say there is, the doctors do help in whatever way they have ability to help. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Modern medicine has its strong suits and it has its weaknesses. But this idea of giving your power over to a doctor just because they are a doctor, unquestioning, well, the doctor said I should get this. Mm-hmm. Well, is the doctor going to be there on the other side if something goes wrong? Yeah. Is he going to pay for any because I know pharmaceutical company is going to. So, I mean, caveat emptor, right? Buyer beware. But that's true of everything in our lives. We can get fooled. I get fooled. I fell for all kinds of things, right, in my life. But I learned from it. That's why I look at that was how I knew to be skeptical. It was like I lived through 9/11 and the Iraq War. And I was stunned when I saw how the Iraq War came about and the way the media just fell into, I don't know.
Me
you
too.
were very young to me. I don't know if you were alive, awake, and paying attention.
No, this is Zoom screen. No, I was here. I was in my 20s and I saw it too, 2003. And all of a sudden we are going to spread democracy in Iraq. Like, what? That is insane.
Yeah. It was bullshit. Everybody knew it. And
I was not even into politics then. This was just kind of from, what I heard around. I wasn't even paying attention and I knew this was wrong.
But everybody in the media lined up behind it, and anybody that was against it got deplatformed. I think Phil Donahue lost his television show. I think,
Oh, wow.
the more anybody that was for it got a raise.
Mm,
It's now
mm,
like, for example, like this is the most amazing thing to me about what we're seeing now. These are the same people that brought you the Iraq War, brought you the pandemic response. The exact same people. So Nicole Wallace, she was Bush's propagandist who
mm,
during the Iraq War, she's now, on MSNBC telling everybody do this because wait,
mm, mm.
you were a propagandist for the government and now you're a media pundit or news person or newscaster or whatever. And there's a revolving door for these people. Like and
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
what wait, these are all like people from the CIA. Like th- these are the people who do terrible things around the world in the name of democracy, right? Like, okay, we're
Yeah,
just going to have a little coup over here in Nicaragua this weekend. Nothing to see here. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, we were selling guns and trading it for cocaine, which we're just importing to Los Angeles when I was growing up in the 80s, and the bottom fell out of the cocaine price and nobody knew why.
Mm.
Oh, the CIA got in the business and they wanted to make sure there was plenty available for everyone because
Oh,
that's the
wow. Okay,
executive
that's what,
idea.
yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, let's move away from the politics.
Oh, everybody knows about that. YouTube doesn't mind.
Yeah.
Do you YouTube? You don't mind.
Yeah. If
And
you want to know, you can
by the
find
way,
out.
just for YouTube, I just want to clarify the vaccine is safe and effective. So for YouTube, any conversation about that, safe and effective, everybody just so you know.
Yes, yes, yes. Exactly, exactly. Absolutely. So, oh yeah, any books that you would like to recommend, and then we can, something that that still stay in your mind when throughout your life that inspired you. That I don't know if you read, if you like to read.
I do know how to read. Um, God, that's but interesting, interesting question. Um, I'm more a consumer of media these days. Like I'm more, and
Yeah,
I do read. I am writing a book.
yeah.
Um, I am writing a book on creativity
Oh,
that I've been working on for years and years. And during the last like 6 months or so, I had a moment where I was like, okay, I need to do this. So I'm
mm.
getting ready to release a book on creativity. Things that have influenced me, though. Oh God,
Well, while you think, I want to say that
please.
it's uh, you don't really need to read books in order to understand life. That's the beautiful thing, because for years I actually was very off-put by books, and especially by spiritual books, spiritual, any kind of self-help thing, because I felt like I want to experience everything for my own, right? I want to feel it first. I want to meditate. I want to, and I don't know. Lately, something awakened in me, and I started, maybe because of what happened with Yogi Bhajan, and I wanted to find out, what do other people say, what do other religions say, what do the ancient masters say about yoga, and so that opened kind of the door for me. But um
I would say that prani, pranayam
yes,
book.
yes, yes,
Like
yeah.
there's a lot of gold to mine in there in terms of
Ah,
experience, in terms of like of all the manuals out there.
mm,
for the yoga practice. That one, that focus
Mm.
on the breath. There's so much in there. Like that's the one. In fact, it's funny. I was at Golden Bridge, New York, um, and that was back when Hari Kar was connected to that place. And I was looking at two books, and one was like the overview book by Shakti Parwa Khalsa. I don't remember the title of it right now, but they're one of the. It was like just a big. It was pretty much an overview book, and I was looking at that, and I was looking at the Pranayam, and Hari's like, this one, this is the one. You know everything in here. This is what you need, and
Yeah.
shout
Yeah.
out
Oh,
to.
yeah, that's true. That no, because it's a wonderful book. And really, I think as you practice, you learn and open like eyes to reality.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we need now, like more than ever. Like again, the daily steady practice. There are tons of meditations in that book. That's a more advanced book, right? Like that's like there's some. I mean, you can do all this stuff at any level, but that book has got just real depth. And I'm still making my way through it. I'm still
Mm.
going back to it. I'm still finding
Yeah.
things like you don't need. So it's interesting. Like I think, and it's good. Like if you want to be, go deeper into the practice and study these specific areas and ideas and stuff. But on a certain level, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. In that infinity is so vast. Like you don't need to know it all, right?
Mm.
Because you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
never
yeah.
know it all. What you need is what works for you in any given moment. And as a teacher, your students are just coming and they're looking for really just a little bit of peace,
Mm-hmm.
a little refuge. That's what your practice is. It is refuge from the chaos. It's a way to return, let your cells regenerate, let your breath flow, let your mind relax. And that could just be sitting and breathing. That could be a little bit of yoga. It could be super intense, whatever. It's on any given day, it's different for any of us. But there's like this sense of in the Kundalini yoga world, there's like a whole bunch of, it's a lot of egotism around, like people forget why they do what they do. Like it's not just you're in the Kundalini yoga bubble and it has its own sort of gravity and boundaries and psychology and
Yeah.
dogma, etc. And when you're just out in the world, nobody cares. Nobody, they just looking to live their life and have some peace. And the fact is that people in the bubble could really use a dose of that. Like, let's just keep it real here. We're just humans on planet Earth. Like, just
Yeah.
trying to grow and be conscious and aware. It's not about being the best or knowing it all, or because the spiritual ego is like it's the biggest trap. It's the thing you might
Mm-hmm.
know all these techniques and all these kriyas and all blah 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 when you really only need one.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe
Yeah.
in, breathe out.
Yes.
Like really just breathe in, breathe out. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's keep
Yeah.
it simple.
Yeah. 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 Like uh, I teach now in person. I'm so excited to see people in person. And really, the greatest, yeah, the greatest effect is the Ong Namo, the tuning in, and then spinal flexes. Because, I remind them to breathe, and everybody's like, okay, we can go home now, All
right?
done.
And then the layout at the end, right? Like,
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So anyway, yes, and you said it beautifully. Your practice is your refuge from the chaos.
well, because when you were talking about the digital, right? Like in the AI and all that, right? Like, let's not, there's all the narratives going, they're all spinning. Everyone's like, the sky is falling and we should all be afraid. I was around for Y2K. Everybody was, and they're all doing that now. Buy gold and, a 12-month food supply. And I've got a link for you in the bio. Okay, sure, be prepared. Good. Excellent idea. But the best preparation is to be connected to your own light and your own intuition, and to not buy into the fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be aware, pay attention, but keep it real. Like, we signed
Yeah,
up for this. Nobody lives forever.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Life and death are part of the same. It's not how long do I live, how long do I survive, but it's like, what am I doing while I'm here? And the more living and loving and healing and being and giving, that's where it is, right? Like, can we stay in that vibration, and can we expand that out there through teaching, right?
Yes.
Teaching in person, real people. Feel the light, feel the breath, feel the aura, feel the prana, energy in the room. That's technology. That's AI got nothing on that, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Nothing. And I will tell you this, I mean, in my estimation, I mean, it is what it is, it was what it was. But I think a big part of shutting down the world was there was a real fear of all the momentum that
Mhm.
the community uh,
Yeah.
of evolving consciousness has been and will continue to create. Like, you can't, the grass is going to grow through the crack in the sidewalk. Sorry, that is the
Mhm.
nature of the divine. It is, you can like try to snuff it out, like you can buy as many politicians as you want, you can control as many sources as you want, but consciousness and spirit will continue to flow and grow and flourish and thrive, and that is just who and what we are. You
Yeah.
can't stop that.
Yeah. And if it can find a place right here, it's going to find it somewhere else.
That's
And
right.
yeah.
Okay, so maybe I leave, maybe I have to move, but in that new place, I'm combining with new people and creating something new in that new place. And
Mm.
that's okay. Like, I don't know. I'm here right now. I'm with, my mom at the end of her life, and she's 90.
Mm.
Um, and this situation has created an opportunity for me to spend time with her at the end of her life. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, I'm okay with that.
Mm.
I don't need to go anywhere else, or do, I can
Oh,
be me and do my work and connect with the world. How we're doing it, what do I want to get out there and share the music live and in person? Um, yeah, but it's got to work too. Like, it was working before, in the before times. Like, it was a viable thing to travel and set up events and I mean,
mm-hmm.
when it becomes not viable, then it's like, oh, okay, well, let's figure out what is viable. And I mean, I love this format, right? Like, I see a time and a place where, um, you know, do a podcast. That's a good,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing. I mean, I applaud you for doing this, and I appreciate you so much for reaching out to me, for finding me, or I made myself findable. Um, I
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah. I found you. I'm glad. And then I saw, okay, you have a song. I was like, okay, yes. So that's gonna be a very nice occasion, right? To talk about the song, to talk about life, to talk about Kundalini yoga. Yeah, absolutely. Also, congratulating you for being able to be with your mom on her journey, because that is very special. I had mom who passed away, and I did my best to be there, but I wasn't able to be there the whole time, and
Oh, it's no, it is really like it's really kind of the universe conspired to make this what it is. So I accept it and I allow it, and so it is. And it's really I can't even describe it. Like she is hilarious. I don't know. I shared a clip the other night where yeah, on Instagram. You find it in my feed. I did a little reel, but rest assured there will be more of her, as she is endlessly entertaining. And
What did she say in that clip? I don't think I saw that.
she basically, I think she'll say entertaining things, and then I'll grab my phone and I'll say, "Okay, mom, is there more to life than pasta?" No. And I want my pasta now. Okay. Thank you, mom. Thank you for that little glimmer of wisdom.
Yes,
No more
yes.
to, it's like she'll just say stuff like that. And I'm like, wait, let me get my phone because that's priceless. So yeah.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, laugh as much as you can. Oh, that's nice. Um,
I mean,
yeah, because
the
that's how.
comedy is king, right? Like it gets so funny because we're in this crazy time and she's just so lost in this time, right? Like, and she's like, turns out she's still watching the news and reading the paper, right? Um, and so I like, I'll like deconstruct the narrative. I'm like, Mom, they're lying, right? Like they're not, they're totally not telling you the truth. It's like, and she's like, no, really? And I'm like, yeah, so this is what really happened. And I'm like, oh, hmm. It's anyway, so that's
Yeah.
funny. And then the technology where she's like, can you help me send an email? I'm like,
No.
okay, yes,
Yeah.
yes, well, we'll help you with the email.
Okay. All right. Well, this was very nice. Thanks for talking to me, for coming over. Yeah, I feel very satisfied that we went through so many different topics, and even exactly what I wanted to talk about. That the Kundalini yoga in this day and age and before. And yeah, I'm glad we are on the same page.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, we're all on the same page. We're all it's the contrast. Like that's the thing that
Mm.
so funny, right? Like this whole like cancel culture, like I disagree with you, therefore
Yeah.
you shouldn't have a right to an opinion. Like
You
shut
should
up.
not talk.
I mean, sure, go ahead, right? Censor me,
Yeah.
shadow ban me, whatever. Like you think it
Yeah.
stops there, but seeing it in the interplay, it's just a projection of fear and not being connected to source. If you're connected to source, it's a non-issue. But you've got to have the contrast. You got to have the people who want to have authority and power over you for you to
Mhm.
find out, I don't think so, and then you choose something else. So that's how we learn and grow. That's what fuels the expansion of contrast. I mean, the expansion of consciousness is the contrast. Without light, how do we know? Without darkness, how do we know what light is?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, so you got to have the darkness, and the more um, without evil, how do you know what good is, right? So, and it's just the absence, without, what is fear? Well, it's just the absence of love, right? But we have the experience, and like, I don't watch scary movies anymore. I don't want to be scared. I choose not to. When I was growing up, I did. Like, I kind of liked the thrill of that, and so that's just, and it just, everything that brought me to where I am, that's it. It's good. So,
Yeah.
it's great. This is the chaos. It's fabulous, and we're just lucky to have a practice and be able to share it with other humans. And let's hope they, take us up on it and take themselves up on it. And I love the phrase, "You owe it to yourself to be yourself," right?
There.
You 100%
Yes.
be yourself, right?
And find out and keep finding out who you are, and keep finding out who you are in this moment, right now, not yesterday, who you should be tomorrow. Yeah.
That's right. The answer changes.
Yeah. It's perfect.
I'm not who I was in 2016, right? In 2016, the world was in a totally different space, right?
Yeah.
And today I wouldn't trade any of it for this moment. Like, yeah, there were things were gained, things were lost. But here we are. We're still here. We're still, and we're in a better place than we ever were to continue the growth and the expansion. And so let it be so. Thank you.
Let it be so. Yes, thank you for coming. Okay. Well, people can find you, definitely Harnam.
Okay. Yeah.
On iTunes, anywhere. You have lots of music there, right?
Yeah, I mean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube are the best places for music. And where, as I like to say, wherever you stream or dream your music, you will find me there. Amazon is now a player in that. Google, whatever, like Tidal, it's everywhere. And then I would say, just if you want to be connected with me more, my handle, my website is iamharnam.com. If you want to get an email about the next thing that's coming up, you can sign up there. Also, Instagram, iamharnam.com. That I post there a lot. TikTok, iamharnam. Facebook, I am Harnam. Twitter, I am Harnam. Now's the time. Love is yours. Love is mine. We are the ones we've been waiting for all this time. Pick up your courage, walk through that door, and let it